Let me start off by going back to the summer and WWDC. It was there that we were told about Ventura for the first time, the new Mac operating system. As we're recording this video, it's been on general release now for 3 or 4 weeks, and we were promised a wide raft of changes to apps such as Mail and to Messages. We're going to see Stage Manager for the first time on full release. Even system settings got a complete overhaul. But there's one brand new feature that came along with Ventura that really piqued my interest, and that was continuity camera. Now, to understand the need for continuity camera, we probably need to go back a few months earlier to peak performance when the Studio Display was released. It's a brilliant display. I've got no regrets at all in buying it. I use it hour after hour and day after day, but of course it is flawed. Who remembers Cameragate? It was a real thing. The camera quality in it was awful, barely usable. Now, yes, it has been improved somewhat with some firmware updates over the past few months, but it's still not great. And to be honest with you, neither is the one in the MacBook Pro, all that good. So I need a webcam. A lot of the interviews I carry out my -16 podcast are with guests that are overseas, so I need to have a decent camera, and being a tech-based channel, it'd be kind of embarrassing if my camera quality was poor, right? So I invested in a 4K Logitech webcam, and it's done me proud. In the meantime, though, with all the bad press that Apple were receiving because of the cameras in their devices, they came up with continuity camera. It's a really simple solution. It means that it will allow you to use probably the best camera you've got, your iPhone, as a webcam. Now, it's so simple. You just rest it on the top of your MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and whichever video conference app you're using, and I've tried it with FaceTime, with QuickTime, Ecamm, and with Zoom, it immediately recognizes the iPhone as a camera, and you're ready to go. There's no more setting up to do. One thing I would say is, though, it feels very odd and counterintuitive resting a very heavy iPhone 14, which costs about £1,700, on the top of, in particular, the MacBook Air. On the MacBook Pro, it feels odd. On the MacBook Air, it feels really, really risky. It hasn't toppled over yet. You always have that kind of feeling that when you rest it on top, it could just go. And you have to put an awful lot of faith in that MagSafe magnet. Nothing's happened yet, but it just feels kind of odd. Now, there's one other thing that I was a little bit disappointed about. In the conference where we were shown about continuity camera for the first time, they showed an option of the Belkin stands that were going to be available. One of them is the one that I have that was going to be used on MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros, and there was another option that would allow it to be used on the Studio Display. Now, certainly over here in the UK, looking at Apple's website, there is no other option. They only sell the one Belkin stand that I have here. The problem with that is that you can only use it on the laptops. Now, you could argue and say, well, that's still giving you the same result, which it is, but of course, laptops generally tend to be lower down, which means that the framing isn't as good. It'd be far nicer to be able to rest it on the top of the Studio Display to get a better height and a better framing for your video call. But at the moment, there's no other solution to it. Whether that comes in time or not, I don't know. But once you've attached the phone via the Belkin stand to the top of your MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, it's really, really simple to use. As I say, all of the apps I tried immediately recognized it as a camera device. And to get to the controls of continuity camera, you need to go into Control Center, from Control Center into Video Effects. And there you'll see 3 main effects that you're using most of the time. You'll get the options for Center Stage, Studio Light, and Portrait. You can use all 3 together or any one singly by itself. The one I'm the biggest fan of is the Studio Light. It works really well. It just lifts you from the background. It's very natural. And it's almost as if you've got a ring light in front of you and a fill light to one side. It's just really good. Big fan of that. That's a win as far as I'm concerned. But as much as that is good, the portrait mode is bad. The bokeh is way too intense. Everything behind you is too blurry, and that means that as soon as you move, it becomes quite artifacty. Now, I couldn't find any settings to reduce the bokeh. Maybe that's something Apple can think about in some updates that will doubtless be coming along. But for my liking, the portrait mode is just too heavy and too intense. Center Stage, though, on the other hand, that's another win. That works really, really well. I don't know if it's just because it's using the cameras on the iPhone, it's a better camera setup, but it's actually smoother on here with continuity camera than it is in the Studio Display. It moves seamlessly, and obviously if you've got more than one person on the frame in the call you're making, it's a very wide angle lens. It's good. It works really, really well. So out of those 3, 2 of them are usable, but the portrait mode needs a bit more work as far as I'm concerned. Now, the one that was the big scene sealer back at WWDC was Desk View. That was sold to us as being almost like a YouTuber's desk down camera view. And It's not. I can't lie, it's not. What it will do is show what's on your desk. It uses the ultra-wide camera on your iPhone and a whole ton of computational wizardry. It will show what's on your desk, but at a cost. Fingers just look like they're something that ET would be proud of. And it also seems quite hard to get it framed right, where you're showing what's on your desk, but not your lap or your stomach. It's all a little bit awkward and a bit clumsy. I can see that if you've got a prototype or a dummy that you need to show a colleague or a client, yes, it would work. It will physically show what's on your desk, but do not expect it to look anywhere near as good and as clean and as powerful as a demonstration that Craig showed back at WWDC. It's just not as good as all that yet. Again, maybe it can be improved upon with some updates, I don't know, but it will get you out of jail. It will show what's on your desk, but do not expect it to be tip-top quality. But overall, continuity camera works really, really well. I've got to say, it's simple to use, super, super easy to set up. Don't forget, if you're making a long call, you might want to put it onto airplane mode, put a focus mode on so you don't get interrupted, and also maybe hook up a lightning cable to the Mac so it doesn't run out of juice. But it's super simple to set up. You've got those controls, don't forget, in Control Center, under Video Effects, you've got your studio light, portrait if you want to use it, and also Center Stage. It will be a big improvement on your web calls, I promise you. And I will be using it an awful lot myself. And I honestly think the next interview that I have with a guest overseas, I probably will use this webcam solution in continuity camera. But let me know, have you tried it yet? What's your thoughts on it? I think it works really well. I wish there was a stand or a clamp or a solution that would let me use it on the studio display just so it sat a little bit higher. Again, I'm sure that will come in time. But overall, continuity camera is a real win. I think it's something you should definitely try out. If you enjoyed this video, hang around for just a few moments longer, because at the end, I'm going to put up an end card where you can watch my video about that, the studio display. But guys, thanks so much for watching this one. Let me know what you think about continuity camera. And equally, if you haven't dropped a like or sub yet, now would be a great time to do it. You know it's going to help me out. Guys, I'll see you next time.